Cool.
Yep. So we're about 10 minutes away from starting. So yeah, you can mute yourself. You can continue talking, or yeah, you can just wait.
We're too scared to say anything now.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
We're recorded now.
Yes, you are.
Never mind.
Branca.
Yes, hi, Brendan.
What species of goat that you are you're farming now?
Mostly Saanen goats, but we also have some Alpine in there as well, and Toggenburg, and also a new breed, an Australian breed, Milan, that they developed over there by crossbreeding a whole bunch of different dairy breeds, but predominantly Saanen, the white ones.
Yeah.
The government help you to bring this in, or we can have this species of goat here in Sarawak itself?
We brought them in, yeah. We bought one batch from the people who were farming at 16th Mile, and then we managed to get some in from Australia later on. Yeah. So they're not native to Sarawak. I'd love to do some crossbreeding, but we haven't really got around to that yet with local breeds. But that's kind of a risky and expensive as well. That's the sort of type of thing that would be really, really good if there were some research institutions that would be able to do that on our behalf, because these are big undertakings, proper crossbreeding programs. Yeah.
Apart from milk and cheese and goat's milk soap, are there any other products that you're looking at?
Yeah, we've sort of recently been working with an organization who's doing freeze-dried products, and they've started to freeze dry our milk, and their main focus is helping urban B40s. And so it is a humanitarian or welfare style organization. But their other part of their concept is they buy from local farmers. So they're not going to donate cheaply available food that you can import. So it's really two ways, two things, two people benefit: local urban poor, and also farmers from Sarawak.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really good.
It's very early days, but this stuff is it allows us to increase our shelf life. Right now we're like 7 days for the milk, but this will be, well, they say 1.5 years for freeze-dried products, but people reckon it's years if it's kept in airtight conditions. So, and also the freeze-drying is different to conventional powder. Conventional powder uses a lot of heat, and heat destroys vitamins. It sort of wipes out every vitamin known to man, because most vitamins are proteins, and proteins are easily denatured by heat. This is a freeze-drying process, so it's minus 40 degrees. So very interesting. Very interesting. We pasteurize the milk first, and then they take it to their freeze dryer, and it's becoming more and more an option. We're looking at that. Once this contract finishes with these guys, we may be looking at doing it the same, buying our own freeze dryer and giving ourselves, and it also makes it easy to export and transport all around Sarawak. Right now we're limited to liquid milk. We do make soap as well, but it's quite different, obviously, different market. Yeah.
You are producing goat milk powder from this process?
Yes, that's what happens. Yeah. It comes out like not fluffy powder like you get the conventional powder. There is a process you put it through. You can just grind it, but you can't grind it with any kind of damaging machine. What they tend to use is like a rolling pin. So the same sort of machine you use to flatten out, similar machine to what they use to flatten out spaghetti or noodles.
Oh.
So what comes out looks something like rolled oats. Yeah,
How do you
and
do that with milk? I mean,
just freeze drying. Freeze drying is basically
Oh.
sublimation. Anybody, any science people here? Sublimation? Who remembers their science from school? Hey, you're all
Nope.
forgot already. Sublimation is when you change from a solid directly into a gas without going through the liquid phase. So that's what happens. Under vacuum at very low temperatures, the water in the milk goes from solid, which is frozen solid water, into water vapor and gets extracted from the machine. And that's how freeze drying works. And you can use it for anything, vegetables, meat, and then I think they when they send people up into space, they use freeze
they
dried
use
food.
that. Yeah.
But you can buy freeze dried food for camping and tramping as well. When you want to carry really light,
Yeah.
and then when you go to eat, you just add water and it rehydrates. But milk is the one that rehydrates best. It comes back to, and it doesn't get lumpy like normal powdered milk. Very interesting stuff.
Is it expensive, the machine, for you to get?
I think it
To
is,
get it?
yeah. We would
Oh.
probably be using their machine and get them to charge and just pay them a fee. Yeah, they are quite expensive. Yeah, it's quite a serious
Quite an
serious
investment.
piece of equipment.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, just to reset the room, welcome to our attendees and also on YouTube. I think we've got viewers as well, which I can't see the numbers, but we're live on YouTube. So we have not started yet, although Branca is talking right now, but we're just chatting. So we'll be starting at 10. So guys, yeah, but Branca, you can continue talking, no worries.
No, I'm done now.
You're done now.
Brendan's turn.
Okay, Brendan, your turn. Actually, the freeze drying would be great for food security, like to store food in case like you need them. I was just reading up, and well, this is part of my opening later on. Some ancient civilization, they used to keep grains, for in case they get drought or in times when they don't get any crops. So would that work for food security for future?
Oh, definitely. It definitely would. What tends to happen with things like rice, they usually cook first and then they freeze dry.
Oh.
So, but grains like rice grain or most cereals, as long as you keep the vermin and pests out, they'll last. Yes. And especially in airtight and cool, dry conditions. Yeah. But Brendan's a rice guy. Ask Brendan about it.
Yeah, I ever thought of producing rice powder. We had to, the process is we need to dry it and to grind it in the powder, but we are not going into that phase yet. Perhaps in future.
But there are rice powder available in the market, right? Like rice milk, I think.
There are some range of rice powder, red rice powder, or brown rice powder. So they can use rice powder to make like maybe pastry or whey, something like that.
Okay.
Because rice powder is gluten free.
Oh.
But there are already people who produce rice beverage, milk.
Yeah,
This
rice milk.
From rice powder. So we have that formula as well. We're also looking into producing baby food from our Sarawak rice. Yeah.
Highly nutritious.
We have the company that can help us to produce that. Just that we do not have the budget yet to produce that.
Not yet. The keyword is yet. All right, it's 10 o'clock, so we're gonna start. Welcome guys to the Tuesday Talk Live by Place Borneo. This is our 22nd edition, so we've run for a long time. And this is a webinar that we've started. It's started by Place Borneo to share ideas, information, solutions. And there's a lot of people out there who would like to learn from our speakers, and that's why we feature speakers from different backgrounds. We've got business, we had gardening, we had a poet, and then we had a rapper, an Indian rapper, Macha Kacha Mata in Kuching. So we've got all different types of speakers. My name is Mona and I'll be your host for today. And you can see on the screen here, I'll be introducing the speakers in a short while. For those of you on Zoom, we've got the Q&A option at the bottom, and on YouTube, you can type your questions on the chat box and we'll be able to grab it from there as well. Yep. And today we're going to talk about the inside stories of Sarawakian Agropreneurs. Well, I hope it's inside stories, some things that you've never heard before from these people. And just a bit of background. I read this up just yesterday. Since 1950s, the global population has more than doubled. Right now, it's 7.8 billion people. But the number of hungry or undernourished people are still the same. It's about the same. But that means that the percentage has reduced. It's a bit better. And this is because of increase in agriculture, productivity, and also trade. So trade makes the food prices go down. So more people can actually afford to eat food. They have enough food to eat. But climate change is also one of the biggest threats to food security. So the global crop yields are beginning to decline because of, it's too hot, it's too cold, and pests are getting more acclimatized to the changes. And this is quite interesting. Ancient civilizations in Egypt and China used to store large quantities of spare food for droughts, aware that the success of their empires depended on food security. So I think that's not very different from us. I think we also depend a lot on food security. If you remember, during the pandemic, there's a lot of logistics or import that couldn't, come in. So I know some restaurants that couldn't serve salmon because they couldn't get salmon in, or any other imported food that came with it. So if we didn't have enough domestic production, how are we going to survive if that happens again, if you're cut off? So today's topic is very interesting, at least to me. And I feel that our speakers are really doing all of us a huge favor for being involved in producing good quality food through agriculture. And all of them, if you know what they do, they produce organic, high quality agricultural products. And after chatting with them, I found that it's not really easy to make it in agriculture, at least in Sarawak, but you can. And because of their passion and their need to help our population through agriculture, they are where they are today, and they're going to share with us how they get here. They got here. And so first, our speaker is Mr. Peter Yap, Chief Executive Officer of Satoyama Farm. They produce organic chicken and eggs. His background is accountancy, and he started his own management and consultancy business back in the 90s. He was also involved in information technology, construction and development, manpower training, and now agriculture business. So welcome, Mr. Peter. Next speaker, we have Branca Peter Munan, the one with the flaming white hair there, you can see. He's the managing director of Mulkau Malaysia Sdn Berhad, and they produce goat's milk soap and cheese as well, right? And Branca first started Mulkau in New Zealand, and then he emigrated back to Kuching in 2013, and he started the dairy goat farm. The farm released their very own brand of fresh goat's milk in Kuching, and it's called the Milk Shop. So welcome to the show, Branca. And last but not least, we've got Brendan Conn, the Managing Director of Antares Ventures, and also my brisk walking partner every week. He was in medical equipment supply industry before going into agriculture in 2016, and he founded Kenyalang Rice. They sell all the native rice grown in Sarawak, and recently they acquired an export license for this. Possibly the first in Malaysia to acquire this, I think. So congratulations to him, and he's going to talk to us about that. So as usual, we're going to start off with the speakers doing a bit of introduction. I think some of them would have a bit of slides, and then we'll go into the Q&A, and we're going to chit chat. So you can start thinking of your questions, and you can start typing them into the Q&A or the chat box at the bottom. In the meantime, I'll invite Peter. You go first for your introduction.
Thank you, Mona. And morning to all the viewers here. I'd like to explain a little bit why we enter into this business. As Mona has said, food safety and food security could be an issue in years to come, not just in Sarawak, but in the world as our population increases. That's number one. Number two, Sarawak got a lot of abundant land and a lot of agricultural people living in the rural area who has their own land. They may be able to help to grow the agricultural business in Sarawak. So with these two in mind, in 2016, our community decided to venture into agriculture. At that time, we also found that the agriculture department, our state government, Sarawak, are very supportive and have in fact encouraged a lot of people to go into agriculture. So I'd like to touch a little bit of how we actually do it. First, you have to decide on what are the products you want to do to make use of the land in Sarawak. And we have picked, and secondly, you have to find out whether they are marketable or not in Sarawak, in Malaysia, in the world. So thirdly, I have to find out whether is the food good for people and for the future, and whether you can continue producing them for a long, long time, sustainability. So with all this in mind, we have chosen to do organic chicken. And we all know that organic chicken is something that people would like in the future. And everybody know that it's going to be something that is good and healthy for the people. So when I started off, I don't know about Branca and Brenton. I know nothing about organic chicken. So we actually start learning about what it means by organic chicken, and we learn it along the way. And we find that you need to do organic feed, you need to do organic farm, you need to do the organic slaughterhouse, you need to do all this at the end, you get your organic chicken. And we started doing that 4 years ago, and we only get our organic chicken certification just 2 months ago, after going through about almost 3 to 4 years of hard work. Now, to go into agriculture, you also need to be able to work together with the veterinary department, the state agriculture department, and the researcher in Sarawak, hopefully in Malaysia and in other parts of the world, they're going who can help you. And thirdly, you also need to be able to start look at the marketing part of it as you go into agriculture. So you must able to know that you can sell your product at the price that can sustain you. And then you also need to set out a very good operation people, management people, and a very good research team, so that then you can be able to go long term. Of course, then subsequently you have to look for your money. I think I will just stop here. I don't want to keep talking. It'll be a long time. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Next up, Branca, go ahead. You're still muted.
Yep. Hi. Hello again. I've got a little slideshow.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll try and get this underway without messing it up. Okay, where was I? All right.
Yep. Got it.
Is it showing?
Yes, it is.
Can see. All right.
Can.
Yeah, the milk shop story. It's going to be started. It's going to start off as a story and then turn into a bit of a lecture, but it won't take long, thankfully. Yeah, look, some of our cows turned up in those in that aeroplane there. Sorry, the goats. Sorry, that's a Kuching airport, and a crate full of goats arriving. So that's kind of semi-exciting, isn't it? And my wife and I came back from New Zealand. I spent the last 27 years in New Zealand, and 23 years was in agriculture. My wife is Kiwi, and I'm Sarawakian. We decided to do goats. Over there, we were doing cows, and we were producing only. So we produced for a cooperative called Fonterra, which some of you may be aware of. You can pretty much walk into any supermarket anywhere in the world, including Kuching, and find Fonterra products. Of course, as suppliers and producers, we always used to grumble about the price they were paying us for our milk. And now we've joined the rest of the chain, and we are processing and marketing our own products as well. We finally kind of understand some of the challenges that they had as well. Our current plan is to upscale. We're not sustainable at our small scale. Okay, just a quick editorial here. Our milk is natural, non-homogenized A2 protein, and it goes through a low temperature pasteurization. I think we talked a little bit before we even started the thing about natural products, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Yap as well has some thoughts on this. But being non-homogenized means the fat in the milk is allowed to rise to the top, as it does in nature. Once you homogenize, it's much easier to deal with. There's no fat layer at the top, but you completely destroy the fat structure as well. High temperature pasteurization like UHT pretty much wipes out all the vitamins. So this is what we're all about. We're about natural and getting the product to you that hasn't gone through a massive industrial process. We also have agritourism, which is unfortunately very, very sad last year. We didn't get any visitors because of COVID. Our soaps are made under cold process, which is another very natural way to make soap compared to it takes about 6 to 8 weeks compared to making it in one day using lots and lots of chemicals. So our way is slow, but it's healthier. I'll just move on to the next one. Right, here's the lecture part. Agricultural economics. Look at that value chain. I've oversimplified it, yeah? So people like our fellow panelists like Peter and Brendan are going, oh, yo, you made it so simple, but it's a good place to start. There's so many bits in between, but effectively, there's 3 parts of it. The producer, the guy or girl, whoever it is, who makes the product, the processor, who makes it into something that's marketable, transportable, and the distributor and retailer. I'll just hop onto the next one. Producer needs a fair bit of scale, and this is where we're lacking. We know a lot of capital is needed as well. And also more specialized expertise is required, specialized livestock, rootstock, planting materials, mechanization also to improve productivity and profitability. Mechanization ties in with scale as well. Change of enterprise, very slow and very challenging. If you have a farm that's full of mangoes, for example, and you want to overnight turn into durian, it's not going to take overnight. It'll take several years. Returns on investment tend to be lower, but of course the scale is much bigger. Next part. Hopefully it changes. I had trouble changing my slides before. I have to wait a bit. Right, processor. Very little land needed. So here we go. We got this. Suddenly we go into a very small piece of land that can process from huge amounts of land. Capital requirement, specialized equipment and expertise is required. Change of enterprise is actually possible, but it takes a lot less time than, for example, changing your entire farm from mangoes to durians. You can, in that picture there is, I think it's a Dutch lady factory in West Malaysia. You could turn that into an ice cream factory or another type of factory in a relatively short space of time. And a lot of these are often owned by the producers. In New Zealand, they certainly are owned by producer cooperative. And they tend to be the brand owners, the proprietary tech owners as well. And the returns on investment are slightly bigger. And the distributor retailer, these guys don't need a lot of land. They don't need a lot of capital. And retail knowledge isn't all that specialized. People who are used to selling one thing can easily switch to another thing. And the change of products, they can switch very quickly as well. Competition, of course, is much higher. Weather doesn't really have that much of an impact, and seldom owned by the producer. Sometimes there's home brands. I don't know if we get them in Malaysia. I'm not aware of any where the supermarket has its own milk that it directly engages with the supplier or the processor. I don't think that's much of a phenomenon here, but certainly overseas. And the returns on investment are usually quite a bit better. Right, here's this is my scary friend here. What is an agropreneur? I've asked a question. I guess in my time in New Zealand, right, 23 years there in the industry, I didn't really meet very many. In a matured and I guess developed industry, you don't actually meet those guys too much. You do meet innovators within large corporations and systems. And, you know, for example, the Parmesan cheese, the cheese manufacturers in New Zealand have many patents of very, very clever ways to make cheese faster. So I guess in the Sarawak context, there's a lot of agripreneurs, people who are, I guess they're people who have BHAGs, all right? So does anyone here know what a BHAG is?
What's a BHAG?
Right, good question. Nicely cued in. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Right, so that's something that there was a guy who wrote a book about this. I can't remember the guy's name now, but he talked about big, hairy, audacious goals, and many entrepreneurs have these very big goals. But to any budding entrepreneur, I'm thinking, you know, firstly, I think Mr. Yap said before, what are you interested in? And I just explained that value chain. Which part do you think you should join? And there's some things to consider for people who are budding agropreneurs. Which part of it do you want to be part of? And my final slide is when the slide decides to change.
It's still at BHAG.
Yeah, I'm still at BHAG. I kind of like that dude.
BHAG is a management tools.
Yeah.
Very much so.
That
Transformational.
Tell you about your passion. If you are passionate about certain products, and that will your BHAG is your goal. And for you, all your effort will go towards that to make it successful. That is a management tools that people use.
Big, hairy, audacious goals, was it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Some people call it big, hairy ass goals, but are we still recorded?
Yes, we are.
So yeah, I agree with Branca that if you want to do agriculture, you better have a BHAG. Make sure you're passionate about it.
So my final slide, if it ever actually changes, this thing is annoying me actually.
It's still there at BHAG.
Yeah, I know, it's still at BHAG. That's okay. I'll eventually it'll come to it.
Yeah, there we go.
Getting started. I say grow your capital, but you know, if you're young and you're starting out, you don't have a lot of capital. You may need a partner who has some capital, who partner up with your passion. Sharing the same vision, also important. Learn your passion. This is important. I know a lot of passionate people about this, that, and the other, or passionate about organics, passionate about this, that, but they haven't really learned it. So when they go out to apply it, all they've got is passion with very little knowledge. And that really doesn't work. Get a qualification. I mean, along the way, I got a degree in New Zealand at Lincoln University. And then I went farming, and people said, hey, what are you doing, man? You got a degree, you don't need a degree for farming. I said, that's true. But when I was applying for jobs, my CV was always on top of the pile. So that's part of the reason why you get a qualification. You know, in many ways, to make your CV go to the top of the pile, because when an employer is looking for people, he might get 20 CVs. He can only interview 5 people. So you want to be in that 5. Earn while you learn. If that is possible, earn while you learn. I mean, there are countries around. I only know about New Zealand and Australia, where they are crying out for agricultural workers. So you go out, you learn whatever it is your passion is, and you earn while you're doing it. You can build up some capital along the way. I know that we're talking now. We've got very developed agricultural industries in places like Taiwan, China now, Thailand as well. So there are also options. I think Mr. Yap said before, be prepared to make sacrifice and work hard. Find like-minded people and networks. I think that's where, you know, you need to talk to other people, because in many ways, if you have a BHAG, you're slightly different to everyone else anyway. So you need to meet with other slightly crazy people as well. engage with government. This is something that I think we all have to do. Government is interesting. They are well aware that economies grow not because of what civil servants do, not because of what lawyers do, doctors do. It's because of what entrepreneurs do. Entrepreneurs grow economies. And that really, to me, in a developing economy, probably not quite as much, but definitely in a developed economy, they are the guys who invent things like Google and Amazon, and these are big names, but there's so many at the lower level and smaller level. It's entrepreneurs who come up with these ideas, and governments are very good facilitators. And the Malaysian government, I've got this slide up, the Grand Entrepreneur 2021, has actually got money to support people like that. They really have programs and money. You just have to go in there, dig a little, and find out where they are. And I'm pretty much done, I think. I've got one final slide, which may take 2 hours to open. So I'm pushing this button continuously, see what happens. Yeah. It's my favorite slide and it's not coming up. This is very annoying. Hey,
there
that's
you
it.
go.
I'm done.
Wow, yeah, that's a nice slide.
Time to stop share, right?
Yes, please. Okay, thanks Branca for the wonderful presentation. And we'll discuss. Well, you brought up a lot of things that we could probably talk about the whole day. Yeah, next, Brendan.
Hi, Mona. Thank you, Mona. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brendan from Untitled Venture. So it all started when I realized that in Sarawak is a few places in the world that have a lot of specialty rice, colored rice, and all these rice are very high quality rice. For example, if you we have our barrio rice cultivated by the Kovit community from Barrio Highland. We have very good quality Adan rice, red rice, hitam black rice by the Lun Bawang community from Bacalalan. We have our famous Bajong purple rice by the Iban community from Lubok Nibong near Betong area as well. And we have the Bire red rice, the hill rice by the Bidayu community. So all these specialty rice, very good quality. Most of them are cultivated very in the natural and traditional way. If you go to Bacalalan, you still see buffalo has been used to work on the land, to plow the land, to control the grass, and also to fertilize the soil itself. So despite of all this quality about our Sarawak rice, the production of this Sarawak rice is declining every year. The reason why is we have a lot of imported rice. We have Thai rice, Vietnamese rice, and soon we're going to have Indian rice from India and Cambodia. And all this imported rice is very affordable. Averagely, you can get a kilo of imported white rice at about 2 ringgit 60 cents to 2 ringgit 80 cents. Fragrant rice, 3 ringgit 50 cents to 5 ringgit. You can get very good quality imported rice. Because of the price, most of the consumers, they will prefer the cheaper rice and easily available in supermarket. Because of that reason, our Sarawak rice production is declining. Our rural paddy farmers, they are still living in poverty. So when we see this situation, we think that we should support the Sarawak rural paddy farmers and to preserve the production and the continuity of this specialty rice, our heirloom rice production in Sarawak. So our company Antares Venture, we are here to empower our Sarawak rural paddy farmers and to create a sustainable agriculture in the rice and paddy industry. So in the beginning, we only have 2 varieties of rice, which is the Borneo fragrant rice and the barrio rice from Barrio Ceria. Slowly we expand to areas like Lubok, Nibong, Betong to do contract farming with the local farmers. We guarantee buyback of their produce, their bajong paddy, and we go to Stumbin Sri Aman. We work with local farmers to buy back their local paddies like the barley, gladi, mamut, the white and red rice as well. We also work with the local PPK in Sri Gading, Lunduk, to purchase their paddy, and even to this Padawat area, Bengo, we have a few remote villages in the upstream of Bengo Dam. It took about 45 minutes of drive to the Bengo Dam, and another 30 to 40 minutes boat to the area. Then we have to walk around 15 to 20 minutes to the village. And their paddy field, their rice paddy, about 45. Sorry. And their paddy, their hill paddy rice field is located maybe about 1.5 to 2 hours walk to their paddy field. So it took such a effort and challenge for them to grow the paddy and to bring it out. And before this, they don't really have a place to market their produce. So we come and help them to process their paddy and their rice. We do the packaging, we do the branding, and we help them to market in the local supermarket. And we also bring this product to Peninsular Malaysia. Now we have a few wholesalers and distributors from Peninsular Malaysia, and we are looking forward to export our Sarawak rice to Singapore or even Hong Kong. Because when we have this limited spending power in Sarawak, so not many people can actually afford a kilo of rice, which costs about 10 ringgit, 15 ringgit, or even up to 18 ringgit. So 95% of the consumers will go for rice at the range of 3 ringgit to 5 ringgit, because this is a staple food that we consume rice every day. So not everyone can afford to consume a 16 ringgit rice every day. So to help to grow this industry, we believe that we have to look for a greater market demand and also platform for this rice. Therefore, we are looking at the market out of Sarawak, for example, in Peninsular Malaysia, Singapore, where they have higher spending power, and they have this awareness that they want to eat healthy. So these are the healthy range of rice which will meet their requirement, their daily diet. So that is what we do. And in future, we are looking into byproduct or value-added product from our Sarawak rice. We are thinking, we are planning to actually produce rice instant beverage in the powder form. You just put in hot water or warm water, then you can have a glass of healthy rice beverage. We're also looking into producing baby food from our Sarawak rice, which we already have the formula. So we are waiting for the right time and when we have the right fund to launch this product. So from my experience in the rice industry, it is very, very challenging. So the three things that I would think it's important to acquire before the younger generation or anyone who wish to venture into agriculture industry. First, as Mr. Branca and Mr. Peter mentioned, you must have the patience, and not only patience, the die-hard patience that you must have. When you face all the challenges, all the difficulty, then you will not give up, and you will continue to look for solution and to look for ways to achieve your goal. So die-hard patience is what you need. Second is knowledge. You must have the technical know-how. If you do not have a lot of knowledge in the sector that you want to involve in, you should have a good mentor. If you do not have a mentor, if you can afford to hire a consultant, that will be good. So knowledge is very important. If without knowledge, you will face even greater challenge So the third thing that a person should have to involve in agriculture is fund. You must have enough fund to sustain your business. Because in agriculture, don't think about making money quick. There's no like making money overnight or in 1 or 2 years. Agriculture industry is a marathon. So you may take 3, 5 years if you're lucky to start making money, or even 10 years like Mr. Peter mentioned before. So if you do not have the fund to help sustain this business, many entrepreneurs give up because they do not have the fund to sustain their whatever that they want to pursue. So, so these 3 elements are very important if someone who wish to venture or involve in agriculture business. Thank you. Back to you, Mona.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Yeah, don't sound so discouraging, although probably that's the reality. But yeah, there are challenges in agriculture, but that's why we're here today, to share with everyone how you can overcome those challenges. Now, I'm just gonna I think my line is a bit sketchy. I'm just going to go straight to to one of the questions. How has COVID-19 impacted your business in agriculture, and how have you overcome it? Or are there anything in the future that we should prepare ourselves, especially in agriculture business and agribusiness, in cases of pandemic or in any situation where import export were affected during the lockdown? Peter, would you like to go first?
Okay. The first thing we faced is the import of the day-old chip. We had to buy the one-day-old chip from the farmers who produce it. And the bad news we get from them is due to the cancellation of flight, so we can't get the chip. Luckily, I have my own facility to produce the day-old chip, so I can continue until now. That's one of the things. The other thing is that we have a lot of research, overseas research scientists working together with us. So actually, due to the COVID, they cannot visit us. We do a research on our organic feed. And that scientist is well known in the world. He flies in once every 2 months. So now he had not been here for about a year already. So that is how we affected. The third one, of course, is the movement, the sales of the chicken. We used to sell to West Malaysia, the Langkawi, the Four Seasons Hotel, this. Now we just cannot go. So what we do now is to just cut down the production, keep the research going, keep the operation going, keep the people, because the knowledge are very important. So we keep all the people and just wait for and focus on getting the licenses. Focus on getting the licenses. So over the last 1 year, we are lucky. So because we focus on getting licenses, we get our organic certification, we get our BHN, we get our all these organism for fun, all this. So to one of the things that was mentioned just now is that for agriculture, there are 2 things you must focus on. One is the research, means knowledge. The second one is the licenses, which you must continue to get, because when you deal with food, you cannot do your agribusiness if you don't have licenses. Now, just now I got a few slides to show, which can I do in a fast way?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I do it in a fast way so that people get the idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay, this our concept is to construct the table. So we do from day-old chip to having the kitchen to cook the chicken. And this is roughly how our farm look like. Just give some idea. So we have the pond, we have the blaze also fly, the chicken, and the facility to raise the blaze also fly. And this is basically what we do. In the end, we are producing this. We do a research on all this to do organic planting, and from there we produce the feed to the chicken. This is our product that we sell. So our chicken are all antibiotic free, plus freeze, and then we're using organic compost, all this. And now we are focusing on getting the license and on export to overseas. Now we're working very hard on exporting to Singapore. The moment we can successfully do it, we are going to employ contract farming, like what Brandon is doing. And we are going to pass this know-how and technology, this whole know-how and technology to the contract farmer. And we will produce in container to export to Singapore. So then we will just focus on doing R&D. The contract farmer will do the production. We try to use IoT, and we try to teach them how to use a standard operating procedure driven by IT to run the whole this contract farming, and then we will export all this product to overseas. As Brendan says, so our chicken is 25 ringgit per kilo. Not many people in Sarawak can afford it, just like the rice. So we had or must look for overseas market. We also, in line to eat, we are also doing the Black Source of Life. We also handle the food waste. We are now working with MBKS and a few other shops to take all their food waste, give to the Black Source of Life. From there, we convert into the feed, and the chicken eat the feed, and the organic compost will go to the vegetables, and they are certified by the agriculture department. So basically, our chicken are hormone-free, antibiotic-free, and our eggs are antibiotic-free. And they are free range. And this is the herbs that we use to replace antibiotics. So our chicken don't have antibiotics, don't have growth hormone. So these are the herbs that we use. So you can imagine, all this, we are in trouble when we have when we have COVID, we have problem to actually sell all this plant. And this is how we give to the chicken. This is our SOP together. So we had to get all this SOP standard operating procedure up properly so that the contract farmer can do it. And these are all our certificate. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay, that's all. I'll stop sharing now.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to share how COVID has affected your business? Brandon, did you want to share with us? Anything happen?
Basically, there are two things that affected my business when during the COVID time. One is logistic, and the other one is supply. So when it comes to logistic, we have rice that come from highland. For example, the barrio rice will be transported down to Miri. It will take about 13 hours from barrio to Miri through the logging roads, and every time we only can bring like 1.5 ton using this single cabin Hilux. So when the rice arrive in Miri, there will be another transport to bring the rice down to Kuching. Then for highland rice from Bacalalan, another 5-6 hours to bring the rice the farmers produce to Lawas. From Lawas, another logistic company will transport the rice from Lawas to Brunei, Brunei out to Limbang again, from Limbang to Brunei again, then Brunei down to Miri. So during the COVID time, all the logistic stopped. So the highland rice not able to reach Kuching. So we have a problem with that. And of course, during that is the logistic impact that happened to me. So we have a shortage because there's no transport that is operating to bring the rice down to Kuching. So another issue is supply. So when this pandemic hit, we in Sarawak and in Malaysia, we almost get into a rice crisis where we do not have enough rice supply. So a lot of us, we do not feel the impact because we have bananas that actually cushion the shortage. But in certain area like Limbang and in Lawas, because the rice from Kuching not able to reach Limbang and Lawas. So there's a worst shortage of rice happen in Limbang and Lawas. Therefore, a lot of smallholders, the retailers, they go to the farmers. They offer the farmers to buy their produce. So here, what happened in Sarawak is when even you have contract farming with the farmers or you have agreement with the farmers. So when there are third party or other people who offer higher price to buy their produce, they will not hesitate to sell to the higher offer or the buyer. So because of that situation, again, it affects my supply because when there's a surge of demand and there's a panic buying that happened in Lawas, in Limbang, a lot of retailers, they approach the farmers to buy their rice. So because of this issue, the farmer now increase their selling price and they sell to the retailers or anyone that offer higher price, and that affect our supply and our margin as well. So yes, this COVID definitely affect our business. Yeah.
Mona is stuck. I think it's stuck. It's Wi-Fi.
Your internet lag a bit.
Mona, yeah, internet is later.
I might just jump in, yeah, while Mona seems to be suspended.
Okay.
Just for the benefit of to keep things rolling. Very similar stories to the other two, to Peter and Brendan as well for COVID. One of the biggest things how it affected us is we used to rely on getting groups to the farm. People would come and visit. Hi, Mona, welcome back.
Yep.
People will come to the farm and visit, and that was one of a very potent marketing tool for us, and also other events where we would attend, have milk for sale, and do milk tastings, that sort of thing. And pretty much throughout the COVID period, and even until now, we're pretty much zero on there. So it's definitely had an impact. And of course, with goat's milk being, in the premium category, I think people are thinking about their budgets as well, and thinking, okay, do I just get very cheap imported UHT milk versus locally produced goat's milk? And a lot of actually, sales have definitely been down as well. And I think what Brendan as well mentioned, the supply side has actually been, for us, the supply side, we do import feeds for our goats. Some feeds are imported, and that's been quite challenging as well, because I think the whole supply chain in the entire world was affected by COVID. There were container vessels sitting around in ports waiting to get unloaded. It was just a bit of a nightmare. So we had to adapt very quickly. And of course, pay the price, as Brendan said. The price of all cereals has gone up. For us, our input price for cereals is gone up around 30%. So it's been quite a big blow, really. Yeah. So we're hoping things get back to normal as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So can we just go over and visit your farm, or do we have to make a booking or something?
You can still come to the farm. We have our MySejahtera thingy of code you have to fill in. So we've got ourselves well set up for that. But you can still come to the farm. People are just reluctant. For example, we used to get a lot of school groups, and they pretty much stopped coming because school has been kind of school's not really back properly again, I don't think. And through the whole MCO period, there was, sort of online learning, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Is there a farm stay? Can you stay there and sort of?
No, we don't have accommodation.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
And Peter, you mentioned just now that you are going into contract farming for the some of the herbs or plants that you produce.
Yes,
as part of the chicken. So if anyone was interested to do that part for your business, they could approach you and say, we're interested to do contract farming for you, depending on which item. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And you're going to share with them how to do it.
How to do it. our intention when we started is to focus on marketing and research. So I research a lot on the organic feed, organic poultry feed for the chicken, and I spend a lot of time on marketing the product to Singapore, to China, to Hong Kong. Our intention is after that, provided there is a market for the product at 25 ringgit per kilo or more, then we can pass the knowledge and know-how to the rural population for them to grow. I was visioning that one day maybe the whole Syrian belt, our farm is fit to do more Syrian. Maybe one day the whole Syrian belt could be a organic poultry farming to produce maybe 1 to 2 containers of organic chicken for the world. But that was that time, like what Brendan said, it take 10 years. So we are working on it. So yes, we have a lot of inquiries already. We are interested, but all this will not move if we don't get the marketing going. So I sign up with Singapore retailer who are prepared to get the chicken into Singapore. But again, we had the major hurdle of getting the agriculture department of Singapore to approve it. And for them to approve it, they need to come to visit Sarawak. All this. So the main issue for agriculture product from Sarawak to overseas country is the question of licensing. So I would recommend that if any agripreneur want to do agriculture, look at the product and look at the licensing part of it, and work on it from day one. You will not be able to produce. I think, as we all know, like Brendan has said, nobody is going to eat, or very few people can eat the 16 ringgit per kilo rice every day. Not many people can eat 25 ringgit per kilo chicken every week even. So yes, we welcome people who are interested to do organic poultry farming, and we will transfer the technology to them.
Wow. So that could be like a sort of like a lower capital startup if you want to go into it, at least you have a ready buyer. Satoyama Farm will be your buyer, so that could get you started, and you can learn the trade, and then later on you can, if you want to market it, or you can just stay as a contract farmer, which is very stable, sort of, right? That's fantastic. Yep.
The same concept as Brendan was doing. Brendan is buying the rice from the farmers and market it. So we are creating another product. Beside Paddy are creating another product called organic chicken. And the same concept as what Brendan is doing, and maybe same concept as what Branca is doing as well.
But also your black soldier flies, right? You're allowing people to you're also contracting that part out, and you're gonna teach people how to produce that. Okay, that's great. There's a question here by Frank. May I know where is Mr. Branca's farm and what activities do you have there?
The farm is at Kampong Kwap. You can actually Google it. It's the milk shop farm. Activities are unless we have big groups, we don't really have actual activities. But children can feed the goats. We give you a bucket of grass, and they can go along and give the goats grass. So that's it's pretty limited in terms of what you can actually do. For larger groups, I do milking demonstrations, that sort of thing. But right now we're sort of not too many large groups, but pop in and just enjoy hanging out with goats for a while. People still do that. 1 or 2 carloads at a time. People come in.
Oh. Yeah. My uncle used to have goats at home in his garage.
Okay.
In the lawn. Anyway, so if you're gonna tell someone, say for example like Frank, or someone who wants to start to go into agriculture and agribusiness, and one option would probably be contract farming, so they could do that. So that's sort of like a lower capital way of starting, because someone will be buying whatever you produce. Any other way that they could start? This is saying a newbie with nothing at all. How would you direct them? Would they go to the agriculture department, go there and meet people first, or meet you guys, or how would you do that? How would you tell them what to do? Brendan, you were nodding away. Do you have anything to to advise to young up and coming agropreneurs?
My opinion, I think it's very important to know what industry that you want to involve first, and whether there's a good demand for that. For myself, initially, the local demand for Sarawak rice is actually not very big. So what I do is, I think it's important to create the demand first. So if you have a shortage of supply, at least that is a good problem. So what I do is I start to do a lot of marketing and sales. I went to Peninsular Malaysia. I participate in some exhibition or this to build some network to create the market. So when there's a demand coming, then you can supply. Especially if you deal with perishable product, then you have very short shelf life, that you have to deliver what you have or your produce to the buyer. So if you do not have a ready purchaser or market, then when you have your produce ready, you have problem selling your product. So it's very important to know that what industry that you want to get involved, the shelf life and the buyer. So you must have the market, you must have ready buyer before you involve in something. Yeah.
When you talk about demand and buyers or the market itself, could the agriculture department help you out with that? Do they have stats or reports that you could refer to, especially for the Sarawak market? Do you guys have experience with that?
Of course, the agriculture department, they are helping the agriculture industry in different way, but we cannot be expecting agriculture department to buy our produce. However, the state government is really put in effort to help the farmers. We have Statos. Statos is this Sarawak Trade and Tourism Office in Singapore. So they do help a lot of agropreneur or the industrial in Sarawak to link to Singapore, and they help to look for potential buyers. So like Mr. Branca mentioned, that networking is very important. It's important for us to build the networking with the government agency, with the industrial player, Trade or this Min Trade. Trade is the agency that actually help to promote our product overseas. And in the state level, we have a Min Trade, which can, over the time, they have exhibition that we can participate, and also to link us up to potential buyers in Sarawak or out of Sarawak. So still we have to put in effort to look for our long-term buyers so that it can be sustainable. So for the whole country and in Sarawak, the most successful model that we can see, that we can refer, is actually the palm oil industry. When you see palm oil industry, it has the most complete supply chain. So from the logistic, from the demand, from the processing, everything is in place. As long as the producer or the farmer, you can produce the fruit, there'll be factory that are ready to receive their produce. So when they sell to the factory, they get their pay almost immediately. Then from the production, then you have the byproduct or the crude oil itself, and that can be sold to the market, which it is a very complete supply chain. So same like other industry, we need to have the complete supply chain so that every level we play a very specific role. Then the whole supply chain will be complete.
Okay. Just jump in anytime, guys. But I'm just gonna read out one question. How do these farms prove to customers that their products are actually free of pesticides, antibiotics, or other harmful chemical substances? I'm guessing you have all the certificates to show, but are there any other ways that you can prove to customers that you are in fact organic?
Can I answer this question?
Sure.
Okay. this applies to all agriculture industry. The only way to certify is getting the certification from the approved authority. In Malaysia, for organic certification, you need to go to Ministry of Agriculture. Maybe for the benefit of the viewer, I will touch a little bit. You start off by following the guidelines issued for organic certification, issued by the Ministry of Agriculture, and you can get your help from the Department of Agriculture, Sarawak, and veterinary department. They're all very helpful, and they're ready to show you the way to do it. After you have got their help, do what the guidelines say. You apply. There is a big application form of about 100 pages. You need to apply to KL. And the KL Ministry of Agriculture will look through it, look through all your answers and the certification by the Department of Agriculture in Sarawak. After that, they will come for a visit. And they will do testing on the ground. The testing, in my case, they test the soil, they test the chicken meat, they test the my organic feed, and they look through your standard operating procedure whether they comply with the guidelines. Then after that, they have a committee to meet, and then they will approve it. That's why it took us 3 years. I was told that now we're applying to Singapore for the same license again. And they're going to do the same thing all over again. But they will not do it until you get the organic certification from Ministry of Agriculture in Kuala Lumpur. Only after that, they're going to further put more stringent control to make sure that your organic certification are properly done. So that is a short explanation.
Wow. If it takes you 3 to 4 years just to get this organic certification, that's a very rigorous process that you have to go through. So I think it's good for the consumers to know that, because then for us, we know that it's not just an easy process that anyone can go through, and you need to actually comply with a lot of the criteria. And I guess if Singapore approves it, I think that it's slightly better. I don't know. I think Singapore has a stricter criteria for a lot more things than Malaysia, unfortunately. Yeah, that's good to know as well. If you get certified organic in Singapore, I'm guessing that it's good to go for the rest of the world. Branca, did you want to add on to that?
Yep. We're not actually organic certified, and we've never claimed to be. Our products are natural. I guess we do testing, which is, there's no guidelines for what we're doing. It sounds like the organic guys in Malaysia are far ahead of just regular producers of meat and milk products in Malaysia, because there's no guidelines that I could find, and I searched quite hard for milk production, just simple milk production, non-organic, but just milk production in Malaysia. So I had to resort to, I'm using New Zealand SOPs, right from milking, right through to processing, right through to production. So that's the only I guess, assurance I can give people. The other thing is we're non-homogenized. So the proof of that is actually very simple. After a few days, look at one of our milk bottles, the cream does rise to the top. So, that's one of the things that we have. But apart from that, no, we don't have any organic certifications, because we're not organic, just natural. Yeah.
But I think it's good to know from what Peter said, that they are actually a list of criteria, or there's a guideline for you to fulfill, and you just need to fill all those 100 pages of application form for this. There's one. This is a great question. Did delivery services like GrabFood, Foodpanda, Live, and the rest, did it actually help with the distribution or delivery of your products? So there's a lot of Grab Food and Food Panda and all that. You could actually buy supermarket produce. And I think during the pandemic, we also had Timoga. I don't know if you're familiar with Timoga. So they sell veggies and a lot of agriculture products. So are you guys looking at that as well as part of your distribution, or do you think that you could ride on any of these delivery services?
Yeah, we're using them.
Oh,
Very
okay.
good. Yeah, very, very good. Especially with this whole COVID thing, it's that we've seen a rise in that side of things. Yeah, we also offer delivery from our own shop as well, but we do have a minimum order, and we don't have the bikes and the machines that the Grab guys use. So it's actually it's a good segment of the market where people want something within half an hour. And within a very, very quick turnaround. So yeah, we are using those guys. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I know that Satoyama, they also have their own delivery, but it's just once a week, so you just have to order in advance and you get the whole tray of eggs and one whole chicken. That's fantastic. How about you, Brendan? Are you looking at any of these I know that you were working on a subscription package for your rice, right? How's that going?
Yeah, we have. First of all, basically, we do wholesale and we supply to the local supermarket. And we do have our delivery service to the supermarket and some of the customers that purchase direct from us. We are working with a few platforms like WeBuy, Planet Kuching. They do provide their own delivery service to the consumers. Other than that, the one that you mentioned just now, the rice program, we have this rice program that is for 6 months and 1 year subscription. So this rice program is to help to empower the local farmers. The benefit of that is you can purchase the rice with a lower price. Over 6 months or 1 year, we deliver the rice to you every month with a fixed amount, meaning that you prepaid your rice. You prepaid for 6 months or to 1 year, then every month we will deliver the rice to you. So we have that program. We're supposed to launch that program in early year 2020. But before we launched this program and the pandemic hit, so we put that on hold. But we have a few customers that sign up for this program and we deliver their order every month to them. So this is some of the programs that we have been doing. Hopefully after the pandemic, then we can, when we can participate in some of the events and exhibition, we will roll out this campaign for rice subscription program.
That's great. I see a lot of food products are going to subscription-based business. I think like coffee, there's now subscription-based coffee. So you order your coffee and they send you every month or every 2 months, depending on your consumption. So that could work with rice and I guess any other products. There's one question by Anonymous: organic roast goat or chicken? Grab delivery. I'm sorry, but we only have fresh chicken, not roast chicken. And I think we don't have goat delivery, but we have the goat's milk and the goat's milk products, not the goat itself. But you could go to the farm and visit the goat and feed them if you're interested in that kind of thing. And I think for kids, I think it would be fantastic. Not many kids would have seen a live goat, I would reckon, in this day and age, right? I remember when I was a tour agent and we had students from Singapore, they didn't even know what a live chicken looked like. And they were shocked to see, how a chicken looks like before it becomes roast chicken or KFC or anything like that. So I think it's great to bring your kids there. Okay, so we're up to 1 hour already, so I'm not gonna stay too long online because not many people can sit down in front of the PC for too long. So are there any last words or advice that you want to give to people if they wanted to start their business in agriculture? And I think what Branca mentioned about the grant for agropreneurs that's available by the government, I think that's quite useful if you wanted to touch on that a bit more, or any other things that you might want to say to our audience. Branca, maybe I'll start with you.
Oh, that's Agropreneur Muda. I don't actually know much about the program because I'm not Muda anymore. So, but I think people who are interested, go talk to your local agriculture department, go visit them, and there's a lot online now. I think the websites of all the agriculture departments, like the vet department and also DOA, are quite a bit better than when I first came back in 2013. So there's a lot on the websites, and also look at the Ministry of Agriculture as well, not just the departments. And there's also just general departments that run entrepreneurial programs as well. There's a lot you can do without going too far. Just get online. Yeah. We don't have any. I don't think anyone's attending from any departments. So
I don't know. Yeah, not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. They might be able to help.
Okay. Peter, did you want to say something?
I would like to say that for the agro business in Sarawak to succeed, we need a lot more businessmen and young people to join in the game. Because if we don't have sufficient masses of people in the agricultural business, the supply chain will not be built out. And when the overseas market want to buy from you, they go by containers, and there will not be sufficient production to be able to sell overseas. So there is a great need for more businessmen and young people to join the agro business in Sarawak, like what happened in Thailand. That's point number one. Point number two, I like to say that agro business is a long-term business, but it's a good business. There are few very successful agro business in Malaysia, even in Sarawak. I can tell you, company like CCK, they started, I remember, as early as 50 years ago. So is QL, and many more agri business. They are very successful. It's a very long-term business, number one. Number two, is a business that once you are successful, very few people can compete with you. In Sarawak, there are many products, agricultural products we can produce, like pineapple, banana, many more. So if only you spend some time to go into it, think about it, and join in the game, and as we get more young people, businessmen to join in the agro business, I think Sarawak will one day be successful in the world market for agricultural products.
Thanks, Peter. And initially, when we first started, or before we went live, you mentioned that you're interested to form an association. And I'm going to follow up with you on that. I'm going to get the Convention Bureau people to actually contact you to set up an association. And I think we've got a few questions about, how do they start? How do they get involved with you guys? Or how do they connect with you guys? So I think an association would be a really good platform for everyone to get together and just share information or technology and knowledge. So I think that's fantastic. And they need to be, networking with you guys and learn from you guys the mistakes that you've gone through so that they don't have to make the same mistakes. That's fantastic. Brendan?
Yeah, from my opinion, I think the state government is playing a very important role to help to develop the agriculture industry in Sarawak. So far, what the state government is doing is on the right track, because the state government is allocating a big fund to drive the agriculture industry. I think that is already a good effort. And the state government also set up a platform like Status to help to link up to overseas buyer. So, however, I think the private organization and the government should look into a complete supply chain, as I mentioned, from the technology to the producer or the farmers to the processing and the logistic and the market. So if we can collectively and work together to build a complete and sustainable supply chain, I think the agriculture industry in Sarawak can definitely grow and develop. And we also need more serious people who involved in agriculture, not the group of people that only come in to go for the fun or come from or the benefit from the government. I think we need more people who seriously put the passion and to grow the industry, and not by taking advantage of what the government is trying to support. Yeah, so that is my.
Thanks, Brendan. And I feel like we just have a lot more that we could share and discuss. There are some questions that we won't be able to answer at the moment. But guys, you can also just check out the website for Satoyama Farm, for Antares Ventures and Mukau Malaysia. You could get information from there. You could also just email them or drop them a message on their Facebook pages if you'd like to be in contact with Brendan, Peter, Branca and their team. And I feel like there's a lot of discussion that we could do, or a forum we could do among the private sector and the government side, you know, if we had a conference of sorts. And I think there's a lot of information that we could actually share and discuss, because this is just way too short. And also, well, the problems that you guys are facing. Branca, you had a whole list of problems you mentioned, and you won't have enough time to observe them all here and to discuss them. And I think it'll be great for those new people who are trying to get into agribusiness. And like Brendan said, if they're serious, they would want to know what's the best way to go forward or to start. So with that, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the speakers for joining me today and for sharing your information. I know it's not enough time for you to share everything, but I think you guys got a really good information to start off with for some of our attendees. And thank you to all the attendees, and thanks for all your questions, both on Zoom and also on YouTube. We've got people on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining the Tuesday Talk Live by Place Borneo. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. So Tuesday Talk Live is now every 2 weeks instead of every week. Until then, have a good week ahead and stay safe. Just maintain your personal hygienes at all time. Wash your hands, cover your mouth if you go out, and take care. All right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
See you, Peter. See you, Branca and Brenda.